Hello, folks, and welcome to opening day 2019 of this National Meditation League season. If you're just tuning in, our competitor closed his eyes and began his initial body scan. I'm your host, as always, Don Chambers. With me today, it's an absolute privilege to have an NML legend, a Hall of Famer, and four-time captain of the Australian National Meditation Team. He's with us in studio, the one and only Roper Clancy. Roper, how are you?
Well, I'm doing well, Don. It's a pleasure to be here today, and there's really nothing like a good meditative deep dive to bring things right into focus.
Now, as a veteran of so many opening days like this all over the world, tell us a little bit about what our competitor is feeling right now.
It's an excellent question, Don. And, I can tell you, as someone who's competed and sat on mats and cushions from Saigon to Quito to Oaxaca, Mexico, even once your competing days are over, I can tell you right now, you never forget the sound of that silence. I mean, listen to the crowd right now.
Now, what can you tell us about our competitor? As his fans know, Austin suffered a tragic, downright embarrassing end to the 2018 season. Tell us a little bit about his rebound and what he's been doing to prepare for 2019.
It's an excellent question, Don. You've got to give the lad high marks right now for the way he's really brought his composure back into the game. I mean, look at his relaxed lumbar right now, the beautiful articulation of his cervical spine, and some mudras of exceptional quality that he's performing with the hands.
And if not, 3 or 4 gaping chakras as well.
I think you see 3 or 4 gaping chakras. I mean, really channeling some deep stuff right now. And it's pretty remarkable given the way he left off last season, having completely thrown his practice and his personal life into the gutter.
It began when he was fired from his job.
Fired from his job in a dismal way, and the 5th and final breakup with his on-again, off-again, love of his life, Clarissa Ferris.
And we're back. Things are getting pretty intense here, folks. If you're just joining us, Austin narrowly avoided what is tantamount to meditation disaster with a first eye-opening, a clear infraction. Roper, what did you see within the young man?
Well, Don, what we would call that is an early-stage consciousness breach. You can think of it much like a whale sort of skimming the surface of the water. It's not an unheard-of move this early in the game, but very risky.
It does look, if I'm not mistaken, that Austin has refocused himself, though, and taken this opportunity, gently I might add, to go a little deeper. Can you tell the audience a little bit about some of the implications, karmically, of sits at this emotional depth?
Yes, I can, Don. So essentially the alchemy of the practice is that the deeper the meditation goes, the more of a karmic load and burden that starts to get pulled up, and you really start to experience the G-forces of the Buddhist wheel, as it were.
I feel like I'm feeling them right now. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that our meditator today is of white Anglo-Saxon heritage.
Yes.
As a fellow cis-white man, can you just speak to some of the guilt and specific meditative implications that come along with that?
Certainly, Don. Yeah, well, I think it's important to remember first and foremost that the practice itself is universal, right? And the specific technique that Austin's employing at the moment has been safeguarded for thousands of years by Burmese monks in the highlands of Bhutan.
I'm thinking cold butts, cold floors.
Oh, cloud forests, frigid floors of the ashrams certainly are correct in that. And it's that particular technique curated over thousands of years by the unremitting devotion of those monks that Austin is now going to employ to combat that history of genocide and dominance that he's very much guilty of. And we're talking about colonization, we're talking about global violence perpetuated on a massive scale by false ideologies and the ego inflation and hierarchical mentality that undergirds a white Eurocentric patriarchal dominant structure. Basically, that's the foundation of Austin's entire life, whether he's conscious of it or not.
If he's being affected by that filthy and unforgivable history, do you think some of that may have unconsciously informed some of his downright terrible decisions with the wonderful, the magnificent Clarissa Ferris?
You know, Don, it was a behaviour pattern she so accurately described as being a douchebag.
Absolutely unheard of. I do not believe what I just saw. Austin was just charged with a second ocular infraction. A third such infraction results in immediate termination of the practice. Roper, what are we seeing? Is Austin melting down?
Well, Austin was at great depths in his meditative practice, and I think it's safe to say that he must have encountered some really filthy stuff down there, especially around what he sees himself as a person. The self-loathing and judgment must have been some really foul material he encountered in there.
8 hours of Pornhub last night, I believe. That'll do it to you.
It certainly will.
Now, is it possible that I saw a flicker across Austin's face of the trauma from his own birth moment?
Well, I think we've probably blown way past that, and he's probably connected with his karmic umbilical cord to the Adam and Eve moment, that pivotal moment where the divine femininity was forever forced into a stigmatized underclass of the human experience, which Austin's remarkable ex-girlfriend, Clarissa Ferris, proudly combated in the great feminist tradition when she said to his face, and I quote, "You are such an asshole. Open your eyes, you goddamn douchebag."